the other way that I would suggest people validate whether something works or not is go to the sources that you trust. When
Mm,
you know,
mm.
I watch YouTube a lot. Like every night, I'm sort of looking for different things. Sometimes it's about the Chicago Blackhawks highlights, but sometimes it's watching a Tim Ferriss clip or other people who it's not Andrew Huberman, that's for sure. But it's you have to, which I
Ooh,
mean
why
you have.
not? He's one of my go-tos.
I don't trust Andrew Huberman. I think he's full of shit.
He's
Respectfully,
too
I
big
think.
into the money.
Well, he's a neuroscientist at Stanford. Okay, so he's got his bona fides. I'm not a neuroscientist at Stanford, so you can easily say like, "Who the hell are you, Zielbauer?" And my answer is, well, I am a reporter. I'm an investigative reporter by training, and so when Andrew Huberman talks about neuroscience, I listen. If he's talking about neuroscience and then telling me to buy a certain kind of uh, blue light blocking glasses, I'm listening for what he gets out of it. Because the thing about Huberman is he doesn't tell you when he's recommending something that he has a financial interest in. Sometimes he does, and other times, in my experience, he hasn't. But where I find him less credible is when he wanders into, and this happens a lot with because in the influencer economy we live in. You have a neuroscientist talking about VO2 max or brain health or how to sprint. It's like you're a neuroscientist, and that's your expertise. And if you're telling me about all these other things that you think um, that you've mastered, then I have to wonder how you've mastered all of these things, and how much and the products that you're pitching, because he does recommend specific products. Why are you recommending those products? It's like, show me the science. There's another doctor named Mark Hyman who I recently wrote about, and the title of the piece was "Is Your Longevity Doctor Scamming You?" Because
Oh, yo,
yeah.
yo.
And Dr. Hyman recommends this supplement, and he writes the email that he sends out is something on the order of like, what? I was recently looking into this, and this really caught my attention. And then here's all the research. He cited 15 research papers saying why this supplement works. As it turns out, 4 or 5 of those 15 were written by the CEO of the company selling the supplement. Dr.
Oh
Hyman
my
didn't tell you that.
gosh.
The other papers were research papers on dolphins or mice or cells in a human cells in a petri dish, not people. There wasn't one randomized clinical
Mm.
trial that shows that this supplement works, but he didn't tell you that because he also didn't tell you that he has a financial interest in you buying this thing. And I find that rampant, that what I call sort of the longevity chiseler pitch, where they have a financial interest, but they're not quite telling you the whole story, or they're not acknowledging it, to be utterly rampant in the longevity space, because it is the Wild West right now. It's a tens of billions of dollar industry, longevity and supplements, and many people are just I think are trying to make as much money as possible, and they're cutting corners. And especially if you have a medical license um, in your title, I think it's just important to not to give people, to respect the trust that people naturally have in that license, and in the MD after your name, or the DO, or whatever it may be, or just being a neuroscientist from Stanford.